What's happening, Captain? What's new, kangaroos? It's your dandy, Candy. And welcome to a little experimental thing we're doing here called Medicated Candy. Where we just had some thoughts we wanted to get out of our head, and I figured, why not share them while we work on this beaded necklace we're doing for some of our outfits. So let's get into that, shall we? Alright. Now, today, I'm thinking for this video, because it's a thing that was on my mind with all the stuff going on in my life. Talking about being middle-aged. Because middle age is an interesting time. It's a very, very interesting time to be alive. Because it's kind of a flux in time for yourself mentally. You still got a lot of, you still have a very capable mind that thinks it's able to do a lot of things that its younger folks can't do, but also still keep up with them. Well, at the same time, your body's kind of falling apart on you. Because you're getting older and your genes are starting to break down. Or however, I ain't a biologist, but you know what I mean. You stop being able to drink as much as you used to. You feel funny after you smoke too much. You can't do as much running as you could back in the day. Some folks can't even seem to keep it up. I'm not going to divulge any further into that. I ain't saying I have that issue, but I'm just saying some folks do. Hold on. I had to take a pause there because I was starting to derail. That happens sometimes when I'm in the middle of a crazy train of thought there. But choo-choo, all aboard. Anyway, as I was saying, you're getting older, your body starts breaking down on you, and you still mentally, because mentally you don't really have that much of an age change between your 20s and your 40s as far as feeling that you're still relevant and competent and not old. That's the thing you really don't get until you're in your 40s. But yeah, a lot of people still think they can keep up with folks in their 20s, and they see a lot of cool things folks in their 20s are doing now that they couldn't have done back then. They think, man, that'd be so cool to try that before I get too old, because I'm not old yet. Yes, you are. So, being in your 40s is an interesting time period, and it's one of those things. Like I said, you can't really explain it to somebody. They have to experience being in their 40s to get it. Just like being in your 20s, you don't really get being in your 20s till you're in your 20s, and then when you're older, you get what being in your 20s could have been, which is that it's a false sense of reality there. That thought of, oh, I could have done more in my younger years, but you weren't interested in doing more in your younger years. You were wanting to live. And that's a big part of it, is that getting older, worrying if you're doing enough for yourself now that your body's starting to break down for yourself 20 years in the future, while also looking back on yourself 20 years ago and kicking yourself for not doing enough, when in all reality you're just doing the best you could. Alright, so you start to overcompensate a bit. You start wearing outfits that you wore when you were in your 20s, thinking you still look good, you still look cool. You try to hang out with the younger crowds and learn all the new dance moves and latest fashion crazes, thinking that, hey, I'm cool too, without realizing that you basically look like the parents that wanted to do all the cool stuff that their kids did to just kind of be clingy. Whether you do or don't have kids, we all know what we're talking about there. The second that your parents think something's cool, you stop feeling that it's cool. It's the same thing culturally there. And I'm not trying to knock people that discover things, in their 40s that they enjoyed in their 20s and doing something positive with it, because that's the whole point of reliving your past, is to get rid of all the stuff that holds you back now, that's bogged you down mentally, and looking for the things that made you happy, the root of who you were as a person back then, to remind yourself of what kind of joy, what life is, the joys of life, to enjoy it while you can. Well, it'd help if I was on camera, wouldn't it? Not the greatest of productions. Well, at the same time, embracing the fact that you're not as young as you used to be. You can't really keep up with all the 20-somethings and maybe some of the 30-somethings. They're going to learn that the hard way too. But so it's kind of that embracing of being old, while at the same time not being too old. That probably not doing the greatest way of explaining that. Hold on. While at the same time getting bogged down and stressed out by, not saving enough money, not doing enough career-wise, or not being happy in your place in life right now, thinking that you should have been somewhere else. I have to experience that myself. This is definitely not where I pictured myself being in my middle ages, but it's where I am. There's things I'd love to be doing right now that I just can't because I got to be here. And those things might be changing pretty soon, and it scares me a bit, but at the same time, I'm kind of looking forward to if things change, because I've been needing a change for quite some time, you know? I've never really liked living out here, so maybe one of these days I can finally get out of here, and that's been a goal of mine for ages, because there's a lot of places I'd rather be, a lot of things I'd rather do, but I've just been kind of bogged down with bills and stress and family. Not kids, but like actual family. If you know my story, you get what I'm saying there. But just bogged down with a lot of stuff that really wasn't relevant to anything other than just keeping me complacent in stress and fear. That's one of those things, man. Bills are a big stressor. And it's just kind of a thing to distract you from focusing on living. Not to say don't pay your bills. I'm not saying that, but I am saying that the stress of bills, the fear of losing a paycheck or a job, that is a big stressor. And I've had to experience that several times over the last couple of years, and it's been very frustrating. Very frustrating. I worry about my bills all the time, and right now I'm worried about keeping a roof over me and my mom's head. That's for a different thing there. There's a lot of stuff to stress out about, but it's nothing I can really control, you know what I'm saying? So, just gotta kind of let go of things you can't control. That's part of it. And focus on what you can. Which, yeah, sure, there's a lot of stuff that sucks right now, but there's stuff I can do. You know, but I'd never know that if I was just panicking all the time. Like making jewelry, for example, making art. I can make art, I can make jewelry. May not be the prettiest jewelry, but I like it. And this one's for me anyhow, but yeah, I've really gotten into making wearable jewelry. This one's one of my favorite ones, and I've had a lot of people wondering if I sell it, and I do. My Etsy shop's kind of going to be questionable in a couple of weeks, depending on how things go this week, but yeah, we do sell our stuff. So, and I plan to keep making more and more elaborate stuff. I'm going to be switching mostly over to jewelry making instead of paintings, because paintings take up a lot more space than jewelry does, and jewelry's pretty fun to make when you're stressed out. Hold on. It's not to say that, because I was getting kind of sidetracked there. Told you, it happens. It's not to say that that those aren't pretty solid distractions, because they can be. But and ultimately, all that stuff about bills and jobs and if I've made enough, had enough, that's just a distraction from you being able to enjoy your life and experience it. It's part of the rat trap. And the most important part about life is experiencing it, having fun. I mean, how many people are going to look back on their life when they were older, looking at the moments that they could have stocked more shelves or done more spreadsheets rather than go out and have an experience, find a friend, maybe fall in love or something, you know what I'm saying? Which would you regret more in your later years? That you didn't have enough fun? That you didn't experience enough things? Or that you didn't work hard enough? Because let's be honest, man, ain't nobody put on this planet to work the rest of their damn lives until they drop. That's just the stress of bills that make people work. You think people genuinely like to work? Still, nobody really is put on this earth to work 24/7. We're put on this earth to experience things. And one of the things that keeps people from experiencing stuff is limitations. One of those big limitations a lot of folks have is finances. You see all these rich fuckers just having a blast doing all kinds of weird, questionable shit, wasting all kinds of resources and time and money. Time is the more important factor there, because time's something you can't get back. Yeah, we're just kind of off into work here now, ain't we? Halfway through this damn necklace, and we just kind of rambling. I'm sure it's made more sense while I was filming it than it will when I'm editing it. You know what they say, create inebriated, fine tune and edit sober. But yeah, so far so good on this. Alright, now there are some things, like I was saying earlier, is it's like, okay, talking about people chasing their youth, chasing their younger days, their glory days. Yeah, I think everybody at some point in time eventually does that. But the older you get, as fashion starts coming back into play, stuff you grew up with in your teen years starts coming back, but in different ways. Kind of rambling there, but yeah, it's part of the experience. It's part of that reliving your life to find out what made you you, what you enjoyed. And there's a lot of folks that do find the things that brought them joy. I'm finding that right now. Jewelry making was a thing I used to love doing back when I was in high school. Most of it was hemp rope, because back in the 90s, hemp rope jewelry was really popular there for a while. And I really loved making it. I find it to be very calming, and it's fun to concentrate and make something, you know? I'm starting to get into candy jewelry, which I really love candy jewelry, so that's cool, because raving has always been one of those things I wanted to get into when I was younger, because 90s was peak rave culture, but I just never had the access to do it. And I worked most of my 20s and 30s, so never really got around to doing it. Just kind of gave up on those things I enjoyed. Does that mean you're going to see me running around in whipped cream pasties and wearing a light-up thong and 6-inch demonia boots? No. But doesn't mean I'm going to enjoy making jewelry. For people who do wear that shit, hey, that'd be kind of cool. And it's fun to make. So that's an experience I'm getting back to doing, is learning things that brought me joy, which is making things. I'm an artist. It's what I enjoy most of all. Sometimes I lose track of that when I worry about bills and my health, because, you know, I'm getting older. The hell did I do there? Fucked up my pattern. That's probably going to be a hot, sloppy mess, and I apologize for that, but just felt like jotting down some thoughts. Oh, there we go. Yeah, there we go. I'm kind of looking off the band there to see where we're at here. Long pause there. Hold on. All right. But yeah, no, there's a lot of stuff and it's also wild to see how much things change within the span of time of 20 years too. Like the idea, I was thinking the other day of doing streams on Instagram, because of the fact that, like, I've seen a few of them on there, and they've been pretty fun, just watching people just chilling, doing their own thing. And it's like, it'd be kind of nice to do like some jewelry making streams. Just inspiration, seeing people stream and seeing the stuff they do stream. And it's like, 20 years ago, the idea of streaming anything was weird. I mean, technology wasn't really exactly there yet. People were doing podcasts and shit 20 years. No, that was like 10 years ago people were doing podcasts. 20 years ago people were doing vlogs. And even that seemed weird, because that was like right around the time frame where people started making money off of YouTube. And it's like, it was kind of a open market back then for vloggers. That was the big thing. Now it's streamers. 10 years ago it was podcasters. It's just wild to see how technology changes over time, you know what I'm saying? That's why I was getting there with that. We basically kind of live in that cyberpunk dystopian future we always saw in the 80s and 90s. It just isn't as cool looking. But no, we live in that kind of weird dystopian future now, where like technology's just kind of running rampant, and you're seeing a lot of stuff change really drastically too, rapidly too. I mean, streaming's the big thing now. What's going to be next? Man, it'll probably be more post-apocalyptica with the way the fucking current politics are, but still, who knows what's going to be the thing 20 years from now. And folks in their 20s now are going to have a hell of a time trying to figure it out, because whatever is ahead in the landscape is going to be both familiar and foreign to them, I guarantee. Because right now, a lot of the stuff that people are into now is familiar but foreign to me. I'm not saying we all live the same lives, but, you know, probably shouldn't have gave Granny the phone there to record herself, huh? We're almost done with this necklace. We'll see what else we got there. I don't know, this video is probably going to be a real hot mess, but it's fun to just kind of record. So, and we had a lot of thoughts on our mind, because we've had a lot of thoughts on our mind over the last couple of weeks, especially last year even more so, because I really left a job that I loved doing that was finally starting to get me back on my feet financially. And I realized I really didn't... I had a lot on my plate, and even though I kick myself sometimes for quitting that job because I really could have used the financial aspects of it. I realized that I couldn't keep doing that job while taking care of my mom, and I think if I had kept doing that job, I would have never known how bad my mom had gotten. So it was kind of important for me to step away from all that stress to be here for them, because family is more important than finances, even though it don't feel good. Worrying about bills and whether I have enough to cover everything off of one job, but all that panic doesn't do you any good. You know what I'm saying? And I don't think I would have ever discovered half the stuff I have over the last year about myself and about my family and what I want to do with my life if I had just been working nonstop all the time just to pay bills. Because, I mean, it's nice to have your bills paid, but bills are just a distraction from people are going to argue about that. But you get what I'm saying if you get what I'm saying. And we're almost done here. Just kind of a rambling thought. I think this has turned out really cute. This is going to go with this really nice pastel Hello Kitty Hawaiian shirt that I got, that I usually like to wear with these green and pink checkerboard pants, because I really like to be colorful. And I thought it'd be a good idea to start wearing jewelry to match my outfits, because I don't have a lot of outfits. I have like maybe 3 or 4 solid outfits right now because I'm broke as shit. Venmo link if y'all want to help out. But yeah, it's just one of those things where it's like, hold on, kind of lost my thought there for a second. Well, it's kind of one of those things where it's like being in your middle ages is kind of like a quantum flux mentality wise, because you're trying to not go off into that sunset quietly, essentially. And time happens to everybody. Everybody gets old, and you may not feel old, but you are old. You're not as spry as you were in your 20s, but that doesn't mean that you're not capable, you know. And there's a lot of stuff from your youth that you should be reminded of to embrace, to enjoy, you know, without trying to be forever 20. There's some folks that are so desperate to just stay in their 20s, and it's like, come on, man, take what you enjoyed of your 20s and incorporated it into your life now, rather than trying to relive a ghost. You know what I mean? Because we all gonna be ghosts eventually. Might as well look your age when you are, you know. So you ain't really fooling anybody. Nobody's really getting fooled by that. I think that'll do it right there on this, because yeah, we just kind of went all off in the weeds there. I need to find a blue bead for that. Hold on. Well, whether any of this shit makes sense or not, I'm still going to upload it because I thought it was fun to do. So, and that's important, is finding fun in life. We're on our last little bit here. And we'll try to catch ourselves more coherently next time. But yeah, just medicated candy thoughts there. Alright, so I think that's about where we're going to be at on this. This whole rambling process, this whole ramble was probably just, this whole ramble was kind of all over the place and way more incoherent than I thought it was probably. We'll see. I don't know. What y'all think? You think we made some bars or did we bust some buns? I'm not too sure on that middle part there, because again, we're going with a candy theme here. And the mouth thing works well with that, but I also really like this little daisy. That's why it's been there. I think that works better with the color. Anyways, whether or not any of this made sense is irrelevant. I enjoyed filming it, and we're going to have fun editing it, and maybe see if there's something there, maybe see if there ain't. Either way, this has been Candy Dandy. Thank you for your time, and I hope you have a good one.